Good evening, everyone. I would like to call this Monday, February 12th, 2024 Blue Springs Planning Commission meeting to order. Please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Morton,
Present.
Commissioner Howell,
Here.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Present.
Commissioner Smith,
Present.
Commissioner Sanderson,
Present.
Commissioner Henning,
Present.
Commissioner Graham,
Present.
Commissioner Rohr,
Present.
Chairperson Craddock.
Thank you and welcome everyone to the meeting tonight and watching from home. Tonight's agenda consists of item 1A, the minutes from the January 22nd, 2024 Planning Commission meeting. Item 2, 4, and 7, rezoning, plan, development concept plan, and preliminary plat for the Redwood Blue Springs Phase 2. Item 3 and 5, rezoning and plan development concept plan for Lucky Time Dog and Car Wash. Item 6, 8, 12, and 15, general development plan, preliminary plat, final plat, and site plan design review for Brittany Hill Middle School Storm Shelter Addition. Item 9 and 13 is preliminary plat and final plat for Blue Springs School District Barlow Administration Building. Item 10 and 14 is preliminary plat and final plan for CJC FPD number 5. Item 11, preliminary plat and Eagles Ridge Estate. Item 16, plan development, final plan for Blue Springs School District Career Innovation Center. Item 17, other business. Item 18, adjournment. At this time, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes for January 22nd, 2024 meeting.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say
Aye.
aye. The motion carries. I will open the public hearing for agenda item 2 and 4, rezoning RZ 10-23-8944 and plan development concept plan PDC 10-23-8946 for the Redwood Blue Springs Phase 2. Agenda item 7, preliminary plat, will be heard concurrently. I will ask for the exhibits from our intern city attorney, John Mullane.
Staff would move the exhibits under items 2, 4, and 7 as shown on the agenda.
So all those who wish to speak, please stand to be sworn in as a group. So again, if you're planning to speak, so we don't have to, we probably won't, we're not gonna repeat this every time, so make sure you're standing now and sworn in.
Raise your right hand, please. Raise your right hand. You solemnly swear the testimony about to give in this case to be the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Thank you. At this time, I'll ask the staff, Mr. McGee, for the presentation.
Thank you, Commissioners. Jamarcus McGee, 903 West Main Street. On behalf of the city, I've been sworn. Before you this evening is a request for Redwood Phase 2 for a rezoning, plan development concept plan, and a preliminary plat for a proposed multifamily development of 104 apartment units on 18.78 acres, generally located approximately 990 feet west of Southwest 7 Highway and north of the future major road extension. The property is currently zoned AG Agricultural and MF14 Martin Family Density Multifamily. The first request is to rezone the subject property from AG Agriculture to MF14 Modern Density Multifamily to PD Residential. The 2014 comprehensive plan included most of the subject property as mixed-density residential, with the southeastern areas designated as mixed-use employment dominant. The intent of the PD zoning district is to encourage unique, high-quality neighborhoods, commercial, or mixed-use development through an integrated development plan that provides flexibility to the standard zoning district regulations. The remaining request is for a plan development concept plan and a preliminary plat to accommodate the development. The PD concept plan covers 18.78 acres requested to be rezoned and is proposed to be platted as one lot. The proposed development includes 104 units and 19 single-story buildings ranging from 4 to 8 plexes. The unit sizes ranges from 1,294 square feet to 1,620 square feet of livable space. The development's housing density is 5.5 dwelling units per acre. At part of the Redwood's first development phase, Southwest Major Road will be extended west of Southwest 7 Highway to provide access. An additional extension of Southwest Major Road further west will be constructed to accommodate the access for second phase and additional access for the first phase. Furthermore, as part of this second phase, Southwest 12th Street will be extended south to the project's entrance. A 5 feet wide ADA compliant sidewalk is required along the north side of Southwest Major Road and an 8 feet wide ADA compliant multi-use trail on the south side. Through the PD zoning and the concept plan, the site is being reviewed under apartment complex building type and the MF10 low density multifamily zoning district standards. The plan meets all requirements for apartment complex building type for setbacks, density, building separation, coverage, and height. Each unit includes a front-loaded 2-car garage with driveway for 2 additional parking spaces, for a total of 4 spaces per unit. Additionally, 26 guest parking spaces are provided in separate parking areas throughout the neighborhood. Conceptual elevations and images have been provided for buildings. Each unit includes a 2-car front-loaded garage with a private entrance. Building designs include a variety of footprints with 4 different floor plans ranging from 1,294 square feet to 1,620 square feet finished space per unit. Building materials include a mix of masonry, vinyl siding, a lap and shake style, and a mix of colors. Residential design standards limit front-loaded garages to a maximum coverage of 25% of facade. The proposed building plans include up to 74% of front facade building garage doors. As additional off-street and covered parking is enhancement for the community, and modifications through the PD concept plan is proposed to allow this exception to the garage coverage. The plan includes enhanced garage door designs with added design details, hardware to mitigate the additional coverage. The site is required of 40% open space and 10% active open space. The active open space includes a trail which is 8 feet in wide and approximately 1,900 feet in length. The trail runs along the south site's east side, connecting Southwest Major Road, and the north side along the stream buffer connecting the Southwest 12th Street. All multifamily projects over 3 acres are required to have a pedestrian circulation system of 6 feet sidewalks connecting all building entrances, streets, internal access drives, and amenities. In similar developments with public streets, 4 feet sidewalks have been provided on both sides of the streets to meet this requirement. The applicant is proposing 6 feet sidewalks on one side of the internal access drive. Staff believes the intent of the pedestrian circulation system requirements have been met, as there are no curbs on internal access drives for an easy transition from building entrances to the street and sidewalks. The plan meets all requirements of the UDC except the 2 items as noted related to the garage coverage and the pedestrian circulation system regarding to the intent of sidewalks on both sides of the internal drives. Staff believes that these modifications are offset by other plan enhancements, include additional designs, details of garage doors, decrease in excessive pavement, while still providing a walkable neighborhood and preserving the stream buffer on the surrounding natural areas that benefit residents and adjacent to Southwest Park. Staff reviewed the rezoning request and finds that all review criteria has been met. The rezoning and proposed land use aligns with the comprehensive plan and the S1 area plan in accordance with the comprehensive plan and creates an appropriate transition to community uses to the west, including fire station and Southwest Park. Staff reviewed the PD concept plan and request and finds that all the review criteria has been met. The plan is compatible with the Redwood Phase 1. The preservation of natural features and the site reduces off-site impacts to Southwest Park. Plan meets the housing and image goals of the comprehensive plan, including increase the quantity and diversity of housing, providing street network connectivity to Redwood Phase 1 and Southwest Park. Staff recommends approval of the rezoning, approval of the PD concept plan with 1 condition, approval with the preliminary plat with 6 conditions. I'm happy to answer any questions you all may have.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. If the applicant is present, would they like to speak? Okay. State your name and address.
My name is Richard Batt, 7007 East Pleasant Valley Road, Duluth Beach, Ohio. Planning Commissioners, Councilman. I saw you guys probably a little more than a year ago for Phase 1. This project, this is a continuation of the project. There may be some new people, maybe certainly in the audience, but also in Planning Commission. So I will go through a brief discussion of who Redwood is, what we do, the development team. Try not to be too duplicative of the staff report, just to conserve your time. Next. So founded in '91, we have one business and really one business. And if you look at our #1 core value, it's do one thing really well. And that is we build single-story ranch attached apartment neighborhoods. Is that better? Yeah, then now it's better. I noticed it. So started in '91. We're operating now in 9 states. We have 160 neighborhoods throughout those 9 states and 17,000, and that's completed units. We have about another 2,000 under development in various locations. And we're long-term holders. We're not coming here to build an apartment neighborhood and then flip it to somebody else. That's not our business model. We own the first one we ever built. Next slide, please. So just a quick map of where we are. You can see the states. I don't need to give anybody geography or lessons. Next slide, please. I want to talk about Redwood. We are bringing in an additional development partner to this venture in Kansas City. It's someone we've done multiple transactions with in other markets. I'm going to call up Lyle Wynn to describe to you who the Lombardo companies are.
Thanks, Richard, and
Please.
good evening, everyone.
Excuse me, could you give your name and address?
Lyle Wynn, Lombardo Homes at 13001 23 Mile Road, Shelby Township, Michigan, 48315.
Thank you.
And yes, we are partners with Redwood Development on this venture. And just a brief history, Lombardo Companies was founded in 1961. We are third generation family-owned business and continue to be that for as far as we can see at this point. We're located north of Detroit, about 20 miles in Macomb County. And we do have quite a concentration effort in Southeast Michigan in our land development and home building business. We did have a major expansion after continuous growth in 2008 when we acquired the Centex Corporation. With that, we had ended up with a lot of personnel, properties for development and building of homes. And we followed that with about 2,400 market rate apartments at this point, where we own, operate, lease, take care of the entire rental unit. In 2011, a major advancement was we opened up our division in St. Louis, Missouri. From there, 10 years later, we followed that up with another division in Columbia. And partnering with Redwood, now we have opened up a division here in Kansas City area. So with that, since the inception, we've had about 17,000 homes that we have built since 1961. And next slide, please. So we really operate under an umbrella of Lombardo Companies, which houses several brands in our company. Each of those brands, we have a land acquisition effort. We develop the land, and we build the homes on that land. We do not develop the land and flip it and sell everything to somebody. We follow that process all the way through. So we have vested interest all the way through the entire home building effort. So we have about 170 full-time employees, all the support staff that goes along with purchasing, estimating the entire process. And even though we are not a national builder, we are ranked in the top 75 of the largest builders in the United States, even though we're still a privately held company. Lombardo Homes is really the flagship brand in here in the Lombardo Companies. It's really the single-family home effort, ranging from about 1,400 to 3,800 square foot homes. We're averaging about 500 homes a year built, occupied. Another brand is our apartment effort. We do the development, we build, we manage the entire community. We have the staff to, have the management, the leasing effort, the maintenance effort. So, and this past year was a substantial growth effort, and we have more growth plans. Partnering with Redwood is helping us accomplish that. We also have two smaller brands, our Cranbrook Custom Homes, which is really 100% custom effort, and our Anywhere Lombardo Home, which is taking our home product and building any lot that a person might own. So that kind of incorporates, everything with the Lombardo Companies. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Richard.
Thank you.
Okay, next slide, please. So a question always asked is, who are our tenants? And predominantly 70% or so are empty nesters. We fulfill a housing need for people who wish to downsize, who wish to simplify their life, who may have some issue that they would like a single-story ranch attached product that is FHA handicap accessible and ADA compliant. And so those are the majority of our tenants. The others typically are young professionals, typically live in the area, work in the area. We do very much medical, people work in the medical field, first responders, police, fire, teachers. It's those kind of people that want peace and quiet. We don't offer amenities. So, there's no noise from basketball courts, there's no squabbles over pools, those kind of things. The peace and quiet's important. The other thing that's really important is the vast majority of our tenants come from within a 3 to 5 mile circle of the property. So Many of our residents are going to come from right here in Blue Springs when they decide that they wish to downsize. And those people are already engaged at the fitness club, at the library, the senior center, those kind of things. So they really aren't interested in them duplicated where they live. They've made friends there. It's their social life, and they really don't look to leave. The maintenance-free lifestyle. You know, we take care of everything. We cut your grass, we plow your snow, we'll change your light bulbs, we change the filters in your furnace. You know, we're responsible for the roof and the snow plowing and the grass cutting. So it's really a maintenance-free lifestyle. And as I alluded to earlier, the floor plans, the exteriors, the two-car attached garage, it's really people's homes. It's a home replacement. You know, people feel safe. They pull in their driveway, they hit the garage door opener, they pull in their garage, put it down behind them, and they're safe inside. Carry their groceries, not up 3 stories of apartment steps, or trekking to the other end of the apartment complex, or finding the shopping cart to bring their stuff upstairs, or to let their dog out in the evening when the dog wants to go and you don't want him to go. And so in our units, it's single story. They have their own patio. They can let their dog out. Got leash laws. We have leash. It's got to be on a leash, but they can let their dog out and bring them right back in rather than traipsing down through an apartment community. Next slide, please. So some statistics about our residents. Average age is 50.6. Not what you typically see in an apartment neighborhood. 70% are empty nesters, again, 5-mile radius. A couple really interesting ones, 1.89 residents per unit. That speaks to the fact that it's mainly empty nesters. 1.5 cars per home. We are not a drain on traffic. And as a matter of fact, empty nesters have a tendency to travel at non-peak hours. So everybody pulls out their charts of when cars are going to come and go. We've actually done the studies of our mature neighborhoods, and our traffic at peak hours is less than half of what you would expect. We are not a drain on the schools. As you see, throughout the 17,000 units, per every 100 units, there's around 7 school children. And that's a statistical average. Standard lease terms 1 year. Right now, the average stay is 2.07 years. However, many of our neighborhoods are new. And over time, those are going to go up as neighborhoods start to age. 18.8% stay more than 5 years. Again, as soon as some of the neighborhoods get to be 5 years, that number should go up. Next slide, please. So we are careful who we rent to. Obviously, we do credit checks, income verifications, rental histories. Actually, rental histories are now reportable by the credit bureaus, or in the process of becoming reportable at credit bureaus. We check for civil judgments, and we check for criminal background checks. We can actually vet our residents much better than a single-family neighborhood can. Single-family neighborhood, you really don't have that much control about who moves in next door to you unless you have a fairly recent homeowners association. We control our residents. From our perspective, it's one bad apple can ruin a lot of people. There are a lot of tenants for us, and we're just not interested in that. We're good citizens, and we like to have peace and quiet in our neighborhoods. Next, please. Exteriors, I think renderings are in your packet. There's just a flavor here. But shake siding, some stone. You can see in the top left, every unit has its own private patio. Again, another difference from the 3-star garden apartment communities, because you can't grill on this. You can't grill in your 3-story garden apartment. You're not allowed to do that because of fire hazard. Here, you can come out on our patio and have your grill out there. Next slide, please. Just a flavor of floor plans. Again, upgraded finishes, granite countertops, contemporary colored that silverish black appliances there's a name for it that I don't know. Appliances, LVT, electric vinyl tile, flooring except for in the bedrooms, carpet. Again, inside is FHA handicap accessible. Energy Star construction, so we're very energy efficient, vaulted ceilings, private entryways. Private entryways were very important during COVID because you didn't have to pass anybody else. You could go out your door, you could take your dog out, you go get your groceries, whatever you were gonna risk with COVID was not gonna be risk coming back into your apartment with us. Next slide, please. So there's a location. You can see the site outlined in teal. If you notice between us and the neighborhood adjacent to us, there is a green space that is going to remain property of the church. When we get a little bit further, I'll show you the majority of that property is covered by stream buffer. In fact, the portion of our property, and we get to the site plan, I'll show you also, is covered by the stream buffer. So there's likely very limited development on that, maybe 3 or so large lots if that's what the church decides to do. It's their property. I've talked to the church and they really have no current plans for that property. Just for perspective, the houses that back up to our property from their building to our building is 495 feet. From their property line to our building is 426 feet. And from property line to property line is 273 feet. Next slide, please. Okay, site plan. You can see coming from the north, 12th Street, the non-dotted section of that is something that we are building. As part, one, it's required by ordinance to build in a certain amount of street, which we're doing. And down, if you go along Southwest Major, the darkened part, again, along Southwest Major, we are building is either part of phase 1 or phase 2. The dotted line that you see is going to be the roadway through the park. And these connections become important for several reasons. One, just south of us, there's your brand new fire station. Right now, there's a pinch point to the fire station at Southwest Wyant and 7 Highway. That is the only way to get out of there. And once Southwest Major's built, there's a connection to get out through Southwest Major, and there will also, once the park is built, there'll be a connection through the neighborhood for them to get out, which, from my perspective, will improve safety, number one, and certainly improve response time to the neighborhood adjacent to us. The other thing I wanted to point out is if you go, I'm gonna point here, I guess. If you go down to, on Southwest Major, you see a curb cut. Keep going. Right, there you go. There's a curb cut there. That is something we worked out with the church. And the reason we worked that out with the church is that once we are built and 12th Street is finished all the way through by the park, the church traffic will have an outlet through Southwest Major, through the extension of 12th Street, out to Southwest Wyant, to a traffic signal that's going to be built at 7 in Southwest Wyant. Now, at some point, the church is we're going to have to connect, somebody's going to have to connect that, the church is going to have to connect that, but from a future traffic plan for the church and the continued growth of the church, we work with the church on that curb cut to get them out to that traffic light. So if you look at the north side of the site, you can see all those dotted lines wandering through there. That is the stream, and that is the stream buffer. And you look, a fair portion of that stream buffer is on our site, which would remain green. And a fair portion of that stream buffer, the dark line across, diagonal line across is our property line. There's a fair portion of that stream and stream buffer that also goes on the church parcel that they are retaining, which will make the development opportunities for that limited. And the church is aware of that. Let's see if I missed anything. Oh. On the rezoning, you see the very east side of it where there's a straight line with the church. To the east of that, there's 5 acres. That property is now currently zoned MF 14. If someone were to come in there and comply with the current zoning, they would be allowed 14 units per acre for the 5 acres. And they would be allowed 90 units conceivably on that property. We're asking for 104 for that property and all the rest of the property. I feel like our low density is a good buffer between the park and also very important, single story. Very important for a buffer of the park with the distance between us and the neighborhood with the stream buffer and us being 1 story in the woods. I feel like we're having minimal, if any, impact on that neighborhood. And we are providing a large portion of the access to the park so that parks doesn't have to build that and actually can use whatever they had in mind for that on other enhancements to the park. And I think lastly, just the improvement of the traffic pattern for the church and for the fire station are very compelling reasons. The property further to the east of us is zoned commercial. Or there's planned to be commercial, I'm not sure zone, there's planned to be commercial use on that. We also would make a nice transition between that and the park and the neighborhood. Next slide, please. So these are some conceptual floor plans, basically the ones that Jamarcus was explaining. Again, the forest wood and the meadow wood are kind of our bread and butter units. The meadow wood is just basically a forest wood on the end. So there's like some additional windows and a little bit of a reconfiguration of the kitchen. Every plan we build is 2-bedroom, 2-bath, and with a 2-car attached garage and their own patio. Next, please. So you go to the Cape Wood. I mean, basically a Cape Wood is a meadow wood with a sunroom. I mean, I hate to shortcut, but that's basically what it is. And the Willow Wood is a different configuration of floor plan. Again, 2-bedroom, 2-bath, but the garage is inset to the unit and the patio and the rear is also inset to the unit. Next slide, please. So there is the current, I think, conceptual plan for the park. I will say there's been a great cooperative effort between us and Parks trying to manage the transitions and the interface between the two of us, and also trying to manage some of the costs between that we could have caused each other. So there's been a great relationship with Parks that we've been very privileged to have. Next slide, please. That's it. I meandered a little bit, sorry for that, but it's kind of my style.
Thank you
Any
very
questions? I'm sorry.
much. Thank you very much.
Yes.
So is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak in favor of the project? Okay, please come forward. Okay, so we will need your name and address, but you'll also need to be sworn in since you came in a little late, so you need to be sworn in also.
Do solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this case is the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
State your name and address.
My name is David Judd. My address is 1809 Southwest 14th Street, Blue Springs, Missouri. I am the executive pastor at Blue Springs Christian Church, the church that was referenced on the plans here. We would be the immediate neighbors to Redwood neighborhood, and we're selling them the land for this project. We really like the idea of being able to pick our own neighbors. That's a very rare luxury in our world, and we think Redwood would be a good addition to Blue Springs, to South Blue Springs, into this area. The idea of building out this development and the park, building out Major Road, which would give us access to our campus outside of just directly off 7 Highway, would be a great benefit to both the church and traffic patterns in Blue Springs on Sundays and on evenings. Right now, I just came up from a meeting at the church, and it takes a little while to just sit there for traffic to clear out to be able to get out onto 7 going north from the church parking lot. And so having a major road, which I believe Major Road will be, with hopefully a light at some point, would be a great aid, and we won't have as many accidents right outside the church as we do now. But the church is very much in favor of this project, and we would love to see it go forward.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak that's in favor of the project? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition of the project? Okay, the public comment of this section, public hearing is over. Any further discussion from the staff?
Nope, we'd just be happy to answer any questions if any of the planning commissioners have any, or be able to direct that back to the applicant, should anybody have any questions.
Okay, any further discussion from the applicant?
No.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion from the commissioners?
I have a question. On page 6 of the application, I read increase in garage facade coverage, provide each dwelling with 2-car garage, 2-car private driveway, no parking allowed on the street. How do you police, if you will, or how do you can you confirm no parking will be allowed on the street? Who governs that, or who ensures that, if that's?
That is a responsibility of our on-site property managers. We really don't have a problem with it. For the most part, it's more convenient for them to park in their garage or their driveway. There are times where there may be an issue where people have a larger event and we have to work with those people. But a lot of it's peer pressure. A lot of it is just tact and diplomacy by our property managers. We don't call the police. We don't put a burden on the police. We don't tow people. We do in our lease have the ability to fine people. That almost never happens.
And my only other concern, I really do like this project from most all positions. The big concern that I have is the increase in garage facade from 25% up to 74%. We got a lot of rentals in town, which are needed. A lot of garage doors are prominent. I see that some other, I guess I'll ask staff, propose this in the form of a question. I see some other things that were changed in lieu of that. How could we, but yet in the renderings in our packet, it showed just a lot of very, very plain garage door looking subdivision. Could we up the standards, and could we place something on staff's back if we were to, that the garage doors have to be of higher quality and more design standards than just the black metal panels that I saw in the renderings? That's my concern with this project.
So you would like to, or correct me if I'm wrong, you're asking if planning commission could put a condition of approval or make a recommendation as part of this plan development concept plan that the garage doors be architecturally enhanced as part of this development, or are you asking in general, can staff work on our multifamily design standards?
No, I'm asking for this project
Okay.
specifically, and future ones we'll take those up separately, but
Okay.
Through the renderings, it just looked like a lot of garage doors, and I understand that is the nature of this type of development. It's difficult to work around, but I know that there are much better looking garage doors out there without a huge substantive increase in cost that would make the appearance look much better in this. So I guess I am asking in the form of a question. I know that we could make that a condition, and as just a singular planning commissioner member, that's the only thing that I really see about this project that I'd like to see broken up or added to, and Because I think going from 25 to 75% is a big give of garage facade front coverage. Yeah.
Certainly understand that. I think if the applicant could address that as well. The proposed renderings that are in the plan do have some, at least, some articulation to them with the garage door windows and some of the details of the garage doors, but and again, some of the detailing around it. That request for two-car garages, when we have two-car garage buildings proposed, whether it's townhomes or apartments, almost all of them have to request a deviation from that when they're a ranch, because frankly, just it's almost impossible to
By
meet that
design
25% just
Yeah.
because of the two-car garage. And so what we have found from a staff perspective is that the two-car garage within the two-car driveway leading to it is a benefit for the development as a whole. And so it's kind of a trade-off sometimes on that, because some of our subdivisions that do have the one-car garages and meet that 25% often have no cars in the garage, maybe a car in the driveway, and then the street is full of cars.
Yeah.
So sometimes when we are evaluating these and recommending approval, and we do request developers do provide some articulation in the design of the garage doors, it's part of that trade-off is getting those cars off the street. And so that's one of the reasons why we do recommend approval of that when the building justifies it in this case. And then I would let the applicant answer your other question.
So I forgot about it, but we did provide a rendering, not in this one, but in phase one. We did provide a rendering of upgraded garage doors that were similar to the top one there.
That's correct. Yeah, the phase one did, so.
Yeah, I truthfully, I forgot about
Okay.
it. My fault.
I believe the developer is planning to match phase one, which was been previously approved, with phase two to make it a seamless,
Yes.
singular development, but just had to acquire two different properties from two different property owners. And so that's what led to these coming in different phases.
Well, thank you for that. I still wish that the garage doors were of more architecturally designed criteria.
Mhm.
I'm seeing just typical metal panel doors with one row of windows. Not gonna make too big of a deal of it, but when I drive through these subdivisions, I see it as a relatively small cost that can change the entire look of a whole area, and that's just my opinion here. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Haney. Are there any other discussion from the commissioners? Okay, then I will close this public hearing. And at this point, I will ask for a motion for the rezoning part.
Chair?
Commissioner Sanderson,
Yeah, I'd move to approve rezoning RZ 10238944 Redwood Blue Springs Phase 2.
do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Graham. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Howe,
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Henning,
Aye.
Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Commissioner Morton,
Aye.
Chairperson Rohr.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. This item will be recommended and heard by the city council at their Wednesday, February 21st, 2024 meeting at 6 p.m. Now we'll ask for a motion for the planned development concept.
Chair?
Sanderson.
I'd move to approve Plan Development Concept Plan PDC 10238946 with the one staff condition.
I have a
Second.
second. Second, Mr. Al. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Aye.
Commissioner Smith,
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson,
Aye.
Commissioner Henning,
Aye.
Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Commissioner Morton,
Aye.
Commissioner Howell,
Aye.
Chairperson Rohr.
Aye. This, motion carried. This item will be recommended and heard by the city council at their Wednesday, February 21st, 2024 meeting at 6 p.m. Last, I'll ask for a motion for the preliminary plat.
Chair.
Mr. Sanderson.
I'd move to approve preliminary plat PP 102238945 Redwood Blue Springs Phase 2 with the 6 staff conditions.
Second?
Okay, Commissioner Howell. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried with 7 staff conditions. Next, I will open the public hearing for the agenda item 3 and 5, rezoning RZ 12238974.
I just want to say thank you.
Oh, well, thank you. You have a good evening. Good job. Let me start over. Okay, we'll open, I'm gonna open the public hearing for the agenda item 3 and 5, rezoning RZ 12238974 and planned development concept plan PDC 12238975 for the Lucky Time Dog and Car Wash. I will hear the exhibits from our city attorney, John Mellon.
Staff admits the exhibits under items 3 and 5 as shown on the agenda.
Thank you. At this time, I will ask for staff presentation. Mr. McGee?
Thank you.
You solemnly swear the testimony about to give in this case will be the truth, so help you God.
I do. Jamarcus McGee, 903 West Main Street. On behalf of the city, I've been sworn. Staff would like to make note that there are 2 items I would like to enter as exhibits for our records, an aerial plan and a site location map. The public hearing is being held for the consideration to rezone a 0.95 acre parcel from GB General Business to PDC, Plan Development Commercial, and approval of the Plan Development Concept Plan to allow for a car wash and a storage residential warehouse land use in addition to the general business land uses outlined in the UDC located at 1800 Southwest Leonard Street. This property is generally located north of 40 Highway. The first request is for the rezoning of subject property from 2 PD Plan Development Commercial. The 2014 comprehensive plan include the subject property as mixed-use employment dominant. The mixed-use employment dominant, which is defined as a mix of businesses that can include office, service, craft manufacturing, light industrial uses, and any small-scale retail or institution uses that help support the primary function of other job-creating uses. The intent of the PD zoning district is to encourage unique, high-quality neighborhoods, commercial or mixed-use development through integrated development plan to provide flexibility to the standard zoning district regulations. Through the PD zoning, the applicant is requesting the car wash and storage unit land uses in addition to the general business land uses, which is outlined in the UDC. The second request is for a plan development concept plan covering the entire 0.95 acre property. The site includes a 5,810 square feet metal building, car wash with car wash bays facing southwest Leonard Street. According to the UDC section 405.080, when a property undergoes a change in use, only site improvements are required to be brought into conformance with the current development standards. Thus, no building improvements are required at this time and may remain as a legal non-conforming structure. However, in any future building additions cannot increase a non-conformity of the building. As part of the PD standards, the applicant is proposing the following. The only land uses allowed will be permitted are the car wash and storage unit, as well as the land uses allowed in the general business zoning district. And the subject property will utilize the general commercial building type. The proposed modifications include waiving the requirements to bring the site into conformance, waiving the required setbacks, bicycle parking, pedestrian access, and landscape requirements. If allowed, warehouse residential storage shall provide 1 parking space per 5 storage bays. Based on the proposed storage bays, the applicant must provide 3 parking spaces to meet the required vehicle parking. Parking must be striped, meeting parking dimensions. Prior to building permit assurance, the required vehicle parking must be provided. Staff reviewed the rezoning request under review criteria and finds that the rezoning request meets other goals of the 2014 comprehensive plan. Staff reviewed the PD concept plan under review criteria and finds the request meets the intent of the UDC. Staff supports the rezoning and supports the plan development concept plan as it would bring the site into compliance as far as the zoning and land uses. Staff recommends approval of the rezoning and approval of the PDC with conditions. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. Is the applicant present? And if they are, would they like to speak? Yes. You will have to be sworn in. We'll need your name and address.
You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this case will be the truth, so help you God.
Well, God, I do. My name is Dale Walkup. I live at 3115 Southwest Liggett in Blue Springs, Missouri, 64015. He pretty much explained what we're trying to do here. I was before the council before, and there were several questions and several pieces of input from neighbors. Every one of those have been addressed, and I guess that's it. It's pretty simple.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak in favor of the project? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition of the project?
That's a good question.
You'll need to come forward and you'll need to be sworn in and you'll need to give your name and address. Thank you.
You solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this case will be the truth, so help you God.
I do. My name's Ron Johnston. I live at 806 Southwest 18th Street. The question I had, can I address Mr. Walkup?
No, you have to address the
Okay,
commissioners.
right now, there was an issue with a trucking company that had been there. I'm sure some of you are still familiar with that. As of right now, there's only 2 bays open. They're expecting to open up 4 bays. And the trucking company that was supposed to be gone is still coming up and using the end and still apparently there. That seemed to be the main issue the last time we were here, because they were running pretty much 24-hour operations out of there. And that was supposed to be one of the things that it was supposed to, be, what was it, from 9 o'clock till 6 o'clock compliant. That was one of the stipulations they were talking about. And that really is my major concern, is that this truck company isn't coming back. And I have a wife that, has medical issues, and 24-hour, if you can imagine, dump trucks outside of your house. If you could go back to that rendering or the plot site drawing.
This one.
Okay, can you go to the one that has the addresses there, or the housing? Look, we're right on the end of that, and that's where the wash is, and they wash out the trucks. And instead of using the front side of, which has a large parking area, for some reason, they did all their repair work and they would run the trucks on the backside. So there was no buffer or berm in between the houses. You know, it just seemed like it would make more sense, you know, if you had neighbors to go to the highway side of it. And they were operating up against the neighbors. You know, the neighbors had put up privacy fences to try and cut down on that. Several had complained, and I'm the only one here tonight. But as of right now, you know, there's only two of those car wash bays. There's a dog wash in there, and there is rental areas, and the trucks, as far as I know, still are using this area. So that was the main question I have. Are they gonna be back?
Okay, thank you. Would the
Thank you.
applicant like to respond to that question?
The car wash is on the end.
Well, the speaker.
The east side of it is a car wash. It's the only bay that's a car wash. It's been there since the 70s. And I did agree to limited hours on the car wash. It was like 6 to 10, I think. I'm not sure. And the trucks are gone. I testified that earlier, that some of them hadn't been moved yet, but they're no longer there. And see, what else was his problem on that?
Well, the trucks that are washing in the back side of the car wash, I think, is the main issue, if I understood.
Yeah, I can't move it.
At different times of the evening.
Yeah, that's part of the permanent structure, plumbing, everything. So, other than that, we agreed to move all of the access to the highway side, and there'll be no entrance from the north side. So it'll be a very quiet operation. From time to time, a truck will come in there to wash. He failed to mention that cars come in there to wash. And so, you know, it is a car wash.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
I just would like to point out that the last time this came before the Planning Commission and the City Council, there was heavy equipment repair going on the property, in the form of dump truck storage, dump truck repair. To my knowledge, those have all been removed. And in this proposed plan development, heavy equipment repair of dump truck type vehicles would not be permitted. And so this PD is really only taking the allowed uses in the general business zone that are on the property today, because it is zoned general business today, and then adding in the storage, residential storage, and car wash land uses. So if at any point in the future there's uses that are going on the property that are not permitted within that PD, then it would be a code enforcement issue for staff to cite them for illegal land uses on the property.
Okay, thank you.
Chair, can I ask a quick question?
Yes.
Mr. Allen, is that so you referenced the usage, but what about the time constraints? Is that noted or documented, I guess, with the plan development?
Yes, it is. It is contained within the plan development to restrict the hours of operation on the property between the hours of 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. So there would be no use of that. So the business it could only be operated or accessed between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m.
Okay.
And the applicant has agreed to do that.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. The public comment section of the public hearing is over. Any further discussion from the staff?
Only if there are any questions from the planning commissioners, we'd be happy to answer.
Any further discussion from the applicant? Okay, thank you. Any discussion from the commissioners? I will close the public hearing. I will ask for a motion on the rezoning.
Chair,
Yes.
I
Commissioner
move
Howell.
to approve rezone RZ 1223 8974 Lucky Time Dog and Car Wash.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner Graham. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Commissioner Sanderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Henning?
Aye.
Commissioner Graham?
Aye.
Commissioner Morton?
Aye.
Commissioner Howe?
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry?
Aye.
And Chairperson Rohr.
Aye. Motion carried. This item will be recommended and heard by the City Council Wednesday, February 21st, 2024, meeting at 6 p.m. Second, I'll also ask for a motion on the plan development concept.
Chair?
Commissioner Howe?
I'd like to move to approve PD C 12238975 for Lucky Time Dog and Car Wash.
Do I have a
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Sanderson?
Aye.
Commissioner Henning?
Aye.
Commissioner Graham?
Aye.
Commissioner Morton?
Aye.
Commissioner Howe?
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry?
Aye.
Commissioner Smith?
Aye.
Chairperson Rohr.
Aye. Motion carried with 5 staff conditions. This item will be recommended and heard by the City Council on their Wednesday, February 21st, 2024 meeting at 6 p.m. Next, I will open the public hearing for the agenda item 6, General Development Plan GDP 12-23-9004 for the Brittany Hill Middle School Storm Shelter. Agenda items 8, 12, 15, preliminary plat, final plat, and site plan design review will be heard concurrently. I will ask exhibits from our intern city attorney, John Mullen.
Staff admits items number 1 through 8 under item 6 on the agenda.
Thank you. At this time, I'll ask for staff presentation. Mr. McGee?
Everyone stand up that's going to speak in this public hearing. You solemnly swear the testimony about to give in this case will be the truth, so help you God.
I do. Jamarcus McGee, 903 West Main Street. On behalf of the city, I've been sworn. Before you this evening is a request for approval of general development plan, site plan design review, and a preliminary plat and a final plat for a 2.174 acre one lot generally located south of Northwest Pink Hill Road and east of Northwest 7 Highway to expand the existing middle school. The proposed expansion would increase the building footprint from approximately 14,300 square feet, which will consist of a storm shelter, additional classrooms, and various site improvements. The increase represents an 11.4 increase in the total floor area. The property is not currently platted, therefore a general development plan, preliminary plat, and final plat are required. The proposed building addition will be located in the rear southeast portion of the existing building and requires approval of the general development plan and a site plan design review. Materials for the building addition will be masonry, brick, and metal paneling. Overall, the building design and materials are durable, high quality, and exceeds the minimal design standards for non-residential buildings. The building is classified as a prominent civic building and meets all requirements in regard to setback, building coverage, and building height. Exterior electrical light panels location is to remain the same. Any additional lighting will be reviewed through the building permit review process. Prior to building permit approval, the site will also be required to be platted. Both the preliminary plat and final plat have been provided. Existing sidewalks and ramps along Northwest First Street shall be replaced to meet the Americans with Disability Act regulations. The applicant is not proposing any changes with the parking or landscaping. Staff reviewed the applications, find that all review criteria has been met and allows for improvements to be made to an existing site and land use. Staff recommends approval of the general development plan with one condition, approval of the site plan design review with 3 conditions, approval of the preliminary plat with 1 condition, and approval of the final plat with 2 conditions. I'll be happy to answer any questions you all may have.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. If the applicant is present, would they like to speak? We will just need your name and address.
My name is James David Ratley. I'm with MKEC Engineering. Speaking on behalf of the school district, my address is 11827 West 112th Street in Overland Park, Kansas 66210.
Thank you.
Just want to say thank you to the Planning Commission to consider this application, and here for to answer any questions
Okay.
beyond what
All right.
Mickey's done.
Okay, thanks. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in favor of the project? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition of the project? The public comment section of the public hearing is over. Any further discussion from the staff?
None.
Any further discussion from the applicant? Any discussion from the commissioners? I will close the public hearing. Now, I will start with asking for a motion on the general development plan.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve GDP 12-23-9004 for Brittany Hill Middle School.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Henning,
Aye.
Commissioner Graham,
Aye.
Commissioner Morton,
Aye.
Commissioner Howell,
Aye.
Commissioner Stokenberry,
Aye.
and Commissioner Smith.
Aye.
Chairperson Rourke.
Aye. Motion carried with 1 staff condition. This item will be recommended and heard by the City Council at the Wednesday, February 21st, 2024 meeting at 6 p.m. Second, request a motion for the preliminary plat.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve preliminary plat PP 12-23-9005 for Brittany Hill Middle School.
Second,
I'll second it.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried with 3 staff conditions. Next, the motion for the final plat. I'll ask for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, move to approve final plat PF 12-23-9006 for Brittany Hill Middle School.
Looking for a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried with 1 staff condition. Last, motion on the site plan design review.
One more time, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I move to approve the site plan design review for SPDR 12-23-9007 for Brittany Hill Middle School.
Thank you, Commissioner Haney.
Second.
Second, okay. Motion, go ahead. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Motion carried with 2 staff conditions. The next item on the agenda is Agenda 9 and 13, preliminary plat 12-23-9002 and final plat 12-23-9003 for the Blue Springs School District, Bartow Administrative Center. At this time, I will ask staff presentation, Dave McCumber.
Thank you, Dave McCumber, 903 West Main Street. Before you this evening is a planning application for a preliminary and final plat of the Blue Springs School District's Bartow Administration Center building, which is located at 1801 Northwest Vesper Street. The property was first developed in the early 1970s when the original building was constructed nearest Northwest Vesper Street. In the mid-2000s, the property received approval of a site plan design review to make improvements on the property consisting of significant addition to the original building and expanded parking lot capacity. The application for platting this property is largely due to the upcoming BSSD Career Innovation Center improvements, which was approved conceptually in late 2023. As part of the project, improved and expanded parking is being proposed on this property. No building additions are being proposed currently. The site improvements to the property will be reviewed in greater detail once the construction plans are submitted. The platting of this property will allow the building permits to be issued for those improvements once plans have been reviewed and approved. Staff recommends approval of both the preliminary and final plat for the Bartow Administration Center.
Thank you. If there's an applicant in the area, would they like to speak?
James David Ratley, MKEC Engineering, speaking on behalf of the school district. Address 11827 West 112th Street, Suite 200, Overland Park, Kansas 66210. Just thank you again, and just here to answer any questions if you have any.
Okay. Any further discussion from the commissioners? Okay, in that case, I'll ask for a motion for the preliminary plat.
Chair,
Yes.
I'd move to approve preliminary plat PP 12-23-9002 for the Blue Springs School District Bartow Administrative Center.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, with one staff condition. Last, ask for a motion on the final plat.
Chair,
Stokenberry.
I move to approve the final plat PF-12-23-9003 for the Blue Springs School District Bartow Administrative Center.
A second from the commissioner.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried, with three staff conditions. Next on the agenda would be the item 10 and 14, preliminary plat 12-23-8992, and the final plat 12-23-8993 for the CPCFPD number 5. At this time, I will ask for the staff's presentation. Mr. McGee.
The next item on the agenda is approval for a preliminary plat and final plat for CJCF-PD number 5 to split the lot into two lots, lot 1, 1.95 acres, and lot 2, 1.72 acres. The site is generally located east of Southeast Adams Dairy Parkway and north of Southeast Shamrock Lane. The applicant does not intend to modify the existing site from what is currently there, but wants to separate the lot for the fire station and a water tower. No new constructions being proposed and no sidewalks improvements are required at this time. The final plat is in substantial compliance with the preliminary plat. Staff has reviewed the request and finds the preliminary plat and final plats are in compliance with the UDC requirements. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat with one condition and a final plat with two conditions. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. McGee. Would the applicant like to speak if they're present? Okay. Any further discussion from the commissioners?
I'm more curious as to why this is before us, and it's a city-owned lot, is that correct?
Yes, this is a city-owned property, and the fire district wishes to essentially own their own property. So it's CJC is the applicant, and they are paying to go through this process, but the city is has signed off as a property owner. And is in agreement with splitting this property so that the city will own the water tower portion and CJC will own the portion that has the fire station. And there will be a shared access drive with the necessary easements over That access drive and then maintenance will be the responsibility of CJC.
Thank you, Mr. Haney. So if there's no further discussion from the commissioners, I will ask for a motion for the preliminary plat.
Sure. Make a motion that we approve PD -12-23-23-8992.
Second, do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. One staff conditioned. Next, motion for the final plat.
Chair. I'd move to approve the final plat PF 12-23-8993 for CJCFPD number 5 with staff conditions.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried with 2 staff conditions. Next on the agenda is item 11, preliminary plat, 12-23-8996 for Eagles Ridge Estate. At this time, I will ask staff presentation at here Bright.
The next item on the agenda this evening is a request for a preliminary plat for Eagles Ridge Estates 5th plat, a proposed 32-lot single-family subdivision expansion covering approximately 10.55 acres. The property is located northwest of Southwest Newport Drive and west of Southwest 5th Street and is currently zoned single-family planned residential overlay. The rezoning PRO concept plan and preliminary plat were approved in 2021. The zoning and the concept plan are still valid, however, the preliminary plat expired and a request was not made in time for an extension. The preliminary plat covers the entire 10.55 acres. The development plan includes 32 single-family lots and 1 tract for a density of 3.03 units per acre. Access to the site is provided through the existing street connection from 7 Highway onto Eagles Ridge Drive. A 5-foot wide ADA compliant sidewalk will be installed along 7 Highway, and 5-foot wide sidewalks are required along one side of the street within the subdivision. The applicant is required a 25-foot landscape buffer along 7 Highway, and since the plan is proposing single-family housing, the applicant is also proposing a 6-foot privacy fence and a berm where possible, which was approved with the concept plan. The previously approved concept plan for the subdivision also had a minimum 8% open space requirement for the SF7 zoning and a 10% active open space requirement. The applicant is proposing a detention pond in Tract A, which does not count towards the open space requirements. However, they have been met by previously approved phases and plans. Eagles Ridge Estates will have 20.54% open space and 13.73% active open space. The existing neighborhood pool and walking trail system installed in earlier phases will service this phase. The applicant requested and was approved for 1 deviation from the standards of the UDC, which has already been approved by council, and that was for a 15-foot corner side setback on all corner lots. The UDC currently requires a 25-foot corner side setback. However, since previous phases have developed with this modification, the applicant is going to continue with that setback. All lots in this phase meet the minimum 7,200 square foot lot size and the 65-foot lot width requirements. This is consistent with the previously approved phases of the Eagles Ridge Estates subdivision. The applicant intends for the minimum livable floor area to be 1,800 square feet, unless the house is a true ranch, in which it will be 1,600 square feet. Staff believes this is appropriate since it matches the declarations and restrictions that have been recorded by the existing HOA. In addition to the landscape buffer, the applicant will be required to meet the street tree requirement and a 45 plant unit minimum on each lot. Staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat with 5 conditions, and I am here for any questions.
Thank you. If the applicant is present, would they like to speak? Your name and address, please.
Brian Ron, 1120 Eagle Ridge Boulevard, Grain Valley. And I was sworn earlier, and I just wanted to thank you for your time and consideration of the project this evening. As mentioned, we had moved this forward earlier, and It had expired, and we're just looking to renew with the conditions that were already in place.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion from the commissioners? Okay, I will ask for a motion on the preliminary plat.
Chair. I move to approve the preliminary plat PP-12-23-8996 Eagle Ridge Estates with its 5 conditions.
Okay, second. Do I have a
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried with 5 staff conditions. Next on the agenda would be the item number 16, plan development, final plan, PDFS 12-23-8997 for the Blue Springs School District Carrier Invitation Center. At this time, I will ask staff presentation. Adair Bright.
The last request on the agenda this evening is for approval of a plan development final plan, site plan design review for Phase 1 of the Career and Innovation Center. The project is at 2101 Northwest Vesper Street, is zoned SF7 PD, and includes approximately 25.20 acres. The first phase will be the western building at approximately 95,000 square feet and will be completed in spring of 2026. The site currently has 3 access points onto Northwest Vesper Street and 1 access to Northwest Ashton Drive through a private drive. The proposal includes removing one of the access points on Northwest Vesper and relocating the eastern access point to be entirely on 2101 Northwest Vesper Street. The property has also required a 5-foot wide ADA compliant sidewalk along Northwest Vesper, which is shown on the plans. The proposed building type is the prominent civic building, and all requirements except for one are being met. The applicant was previously approved for a modification to allow parking within the 25-foot required setback from a street frontage. The applicant provided a Schedule C parking memo as required by the UDC, and there are a total of 475 parking spaces, along with 8 bike racks, which will allow for 16 bicycle parking spaces. The applicant was also approved for the modification to allow for the drive aisles to be 25 feet wide instead of 26 feet. The plans meet all required internal pedestrian access requirements, along with a connection from the public sidewalk to the primary building entrance. The applicant has provided a final landscape plan which exceeds the number of plant units due to a large amount of existing landscaping in the northeast corner of the site. The applicant was also approved to waive the requirement for 2.5 to 3.5 foot tall shrubs to screen parking lot lights from a public right-of-way. Staff requested a short retaining wall to help shield headlights from the right-of-way, but the applicant said that would require the removal of the existing landscaping along Northwest Vesper, and that is not being proposed. The building will include a mix of white and gray metal panels along with precast concrete panels, all of which will meet the non-residential design standards outlined in the UDC. The building includes a variation of projections and a roof terrace that wraps around the northwest corner of the building and will be accessible from the 2nd story. A photometric plan was provided and complies with the UDC in regards to light spillover at the property line and the height of the light poles. Staff recommends approval of the PD final plan, site plan design review with 4 conditions, and I am here for any questions that you may have.
Thank you. If the applicant would like to speak, please come forward.
Name's James David Ratley with MKEC. Do you want me to continue? Okay, good. Here for answer any questions you have.
Thank you. Good job. Any further discussion from the commissioners? Okay, then I will ask for a motion on the plan development final plan.
Chair.
Sanderson.
I'd move to approve plan development final plan PDFS 12238997 B SSD Career Innovation Center with the 4 staff conditions.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried with 4 staff conditions. The next planning commission meeting is scheduled for Monday, February 26, 2024. Mike, do you have a presentation on the community development report?
Yeah, attached for your review is the January 2024 monthly report for community development. Compared to last year, we are already a little bit above in terms of our number of single-family permits, which is good. We've definitely seen a lot of final plats come through for single-family neighborhoods, so that's good that we're finally starting to get some permits for those in those newly platted subdivisions. Permit numbers total are a little bit below what they were a month or a year ago. Construction cost, construction valuation is up. Total square footage is up this year compared to last. Don't have a whole lot of trends yet for 2024, just 1 month in. Code enforcement activity has been pretty steady this month. A little bit lower than last year, but with the relatively decent weather, I would expect for us to keep going. And again, not a lot is very different from our normal monthly reports: nuisance inspections, trash, inoperable vehicles, and doing work without a permit. Some of the planning activities that came before you: final plat for Eagles Creek, Blue Springs first plat amendment did not come before. Actually, neither of these came before you, but both have been approved by City Council. One was a annexation for a property on West Vesper, and one was for the Eagles Creek of Blue Springs final plat amendment to just change a few minor errors that were in the dimensions and courses on the plat. So that went Planning Commission had recommended approval of that plat. City Council had approved that plat, and then to fix those errors, we took that just back to the City Council for that final plat. Sign permits have been pretty steady this month. Happy to answer any questions.
Commissioners have any questions?
All right, thank you.
Does the staff have any other business?
We do not.
Does the commissioners have any other business? Okay, then I will adjourn. If there is no other business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned. Good night.